video tutorial, I'm going to be demonstrating a simple exercise called the single arm row. For this exercise, we're going to be using a cable machine. This is a pretty standard piece of equipment in most gyms. The handle attachment that I'm using has sort of like a metal horseshoe shape with a handle on the end. You can also use a fabric one. It doesn't really make too much difference. Some people find this one's more comfortable than this one. Also, for those of you that are training at home or don't have access to the gym, or for whatever reason don't have one of these at the gym, you can use a resistance band. This one actually has handles on the end, and just wrap it around anything that's stable, and away you go. You've got the same, essentially the same piece of equipment. The only slight difference with the resistance bands is that the further away they are from you, the harder the actual resistance is, which for certain corrective exercises can actually be an advantage, but for this particular exercise it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So the exercise itself is a single arm row. This is a brilliant exercise that can help strengthen the posterior chain and can really help to bring the shoulder back into balance. The muscles that we're going to be using for this exercise are the latissimus dorsi, the rhomboids, and also the middle fibers of the trapezius. In last week's episode, we talked about the upper fibers becoming quite tight because of being in a seated position, elevating our shoulders, being under all kinds of stress, and the negative effects that that can have on us. So we're going to try and combat some of that with the myofascial release, and also by strengthening the middle portion of that musculature. So I'm just going to demonstrate the exercise for you now. So I've not got a massive amount of weight on the weight stack, 23 kilograms. Personally, I think that it's more beneficial to go a little bit heavier to really try and disassociate the movement patterns, but it's also really important to be very, very conscious of other movements that's going on, especially with the elevation of the shoulder, and also with bicep activity as well. So if you've got a mirror or you've got someone that can look at you, then I would recommend using the mirror or asking someone to keep an eye out on what you're doing. So I'm going to take a couple of steps back. I'm leaning against the weight. I'm shifting my hips back slightly behind my ankles, and I've got nice soft knees. And I'm tucking my hips under slightly to try and keep my spine in a neutral position. And I'm going to let the weight pull me, or pull my arm in this direction so that my scapula is protracting, okay? So once I'm protracted and I've got my transverse abdominis engaged, so I'm drawing my a couple of inches below my belly button towards my spine, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to retract my scapula. So I'm going to bring that scapula back, being mindful that I'm not elevating and I'm not bending my elbow. So we're going to retract and then bend the elbow, and we're going to keep bending the elbow until the elbow is directly beneath the shoulder. So we're just going to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and then once we're under the shoulder, we're going to hold that position, making sure that we're not coming forward, making sure that we're not elevating. Very, very common one here, guys, is that when people go into the end range of motion, or even at the start, they'll go, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, but you are, but in addition, you're also working the upper trapezius, which is, as in the previous video I mentioned, is exceptionally tight in most people in this day and age, and can be the contributing factor to headaches, shoulder pain, and various other debilitating issues because of the imbalance between the upper, middle, and lower traps. Okay, so I'm going to do the other side now. So the same thing. Taking a couple of steps back, making sure that there's constant tension in the cable machine. Bending my knees slightly, keeping my feet hip width apart, sitting back so my hips are behind my ankles, tucking my hips under very slightly, going into a posterior tilt, making sure that I'm not going into lumbar flexion where I'm going too far, and I'm not going into hyperextension where I'm not going enough. So I'm just keeping nice neutral spine, and I'm going to engage my transverse abdominis by drawing my navel in, and I'm also going to be trying to expand my ribs to try and keep my rib cage in a nice optimal position so that my scapula has a nice area to go over. So same thing again, letting the weight pull me, and it's going to be protracting the scapula, and then retracting there, and then pulling the elbow back, and retracting at the same time. Don't stop retracting. When the elbow gets directly underneath the shoulder, I'm going to hold that there, and then slowly go forward, keeping the shoulder retracted, and then once we're at full extension, letting the shoulder protract, and then again, bring ourselves back. So, depending ultimately on what you want to achieve, whether it's a corrective exercise, whether you want to try and build up strength or hypertrophy or anything like that, then will ultimately depend on the number of reps and sets that you do. Personally, for my clients, I will try and do it because I'm looking at what they're doing. I'll try and do quite a heavy weight and quite a minimum amount of reps. So maybe 3 to 5 reps, and then we'll do that each side maybe 3 times with a little bit of a rest between. But it's really important that you do this exercise, but when you do it, that you're keeping an eye on the other things that are going on. So no, we're not pulling like this. So I can do the move, I'm doing it, but I'm not. Okay, same again. I can do it, but I'm not, because I'm incorporating other parts of the body that don't need to be incorporated. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you a slight variation to this exercise, a little bit more of an advancement. So I strongly recommend that you guys follow the previous 4 or 5 videos, do the myofascial release techniques and try and get rid of a little bit of the tension in these specific areas, and then try this exercise. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.